Alright everyone, we are here with another off-season war. This war I'm taking in Terrax, Civil Warrior, and Silver Centurion. I will have Path 7 in Section 1 and Path 6 in Section 2. Really what I was looking at was using Terrax for a mini-boss and Civil Warrior for a mini-boss and Silver Centurion for the 4 fights on my paths. However, I forgot about the high ground, shock, and incinerate, basically negative feedback of it. I'm lacking on the word here, downside of it. So here it's kind of going fine, but that's only because as soon as the shock places, it doesn't affect the first charge of high ground. And we didn't have shocks there, so we missed the second round of speeding up the timer, just plasma. And I think, okay, so here we're fine too. I think it's after this round of high ground, but really you're seeing the dot damage kind of take care of business here, along with the fact that he's got recoil. There it is. The high ground now just kicked into gear and it's going a lot faster. So you're going to see Silver Centurion's health just go bye-bye with a lot of blocked hits. I was really just playing it safe, to be honest, at first, blocking SB1, but now I've got to set myself up in a position to worry about it. So made it out alive, but what that meant was that I was going to take this green goblin with Terrax instead, which also isn't that fun of an idea, just because of the vivified here. So he's going to gain a lot of power, and you're not going to gain a lot of power back, just because of green goblin's abilities. So getting this rock field up so that we can up the damage, you know, isn't really going to be a good thing, or isn't going to play out too well. Now luckily this green goblin has suicides as well, and a reduced health pool because of the suicides, because of glass cannon. So we took 25% off on a combo into heavy rotation with the rock field up, but as you can see here, the block damage and just the damage all around is going to start to take a toll. And the other dumb thing I didn't do was that Civil Warrior is actually part of Slow Your Roll. So there's a Wasp in Section 2 on Rage, and I probably could have used him there had I remembered to activate Slow Your Roll. So we're going to take a look at how that went with Silver Centurion as well. But we're starting to get through here, almost there. Just got to avoid, and he dies from, just got to avoid the block damage, and he dies from recoil. So really the whole reason I brought Civil Warrior was to test it out on this Havok on Power Snack. And the reason I wanted to test it here is Civil Warrior is Fate Seal, Stagger, and Nullify immune. So he's Power Snack immune. So we're not going to give Havok any bonus power. Plus, as long as we don't convert any armor ups, he's always going to have an armor up for detonation. So really the game plan here is to make sure that we're at SB2 when he's about to hit backup recovery, or we just have him at a low power bar when he hits backup recovery. Luckily, because of suicides, it worked out to where 50% crept up right when I had SB2. So as backup recovery goes, I went ahead and threw it. So now we're in the clear. The plasma damage, or the plasma debuff, is healing us, and we're avoiding detonation because we're gonna have more than enough armor ups. And now this node is just pretty much non-existent for Civil Warrior. So this fight doesn't take too long, surprisingly. I thought it might actually take like 2.5 minutes without converting the armor ups. But as you see, we're at a minute and he's only at 10% left. I'm of course gonna contribute that to the suicide masteries that are eating away at his health. But still, a full boosted, I'd be curious to see. At full boosted, I'd be curious to see how it works out. Alright, so here's where I kind of have to modify. I did decide to just go ahead and take this Wasp with Silver Centurion. She's not like Green Goblin or Yellowjacket, where I have to worry about projectiles with her SB1. So even if she does get a faster timer with high ground, then I can pretty much avoid block damage. especially since her evade actually counts as an actual hit, so I won't take that bonus energy damage for blocking a hit. And Silver Centurion's immune to shock, so if we do trigger the evade, then we don't have to worry about the shock damage either. So you see here, it's going pretty smooth. Pretty sure she started this fight with suicides. Yep. So that obviously helps a little, or a lot more too, especially since she's got a small health pool. But you can see here we got locked on with an SB2. Now we can end with mediums. Now we're going to do some big burst damage. My hope was to get to SB1 there, but she does have evade active, so we have to be careful. And down she goes, nice and easy. So where I decided to modify even more was this Storm X. I decided to go ahead and just take it with Civil Warrior, and that's just because of the SP2 power drain that eats up 2 bars of power. So you're gonna see, High Ground is not a good global for Civil Warrior to practice converting buffs to Fury buffs, so there could have been an opportunity here to up the damage. However, that would require a lot of blocking, and because of High Ground, that's not a good idea. So instead, and see, I started the fight thinking I could convert him, and then you're going to see me lay off that idea. So I decided instead that the main goal should be to build to SB2 and use it, push her just past SB1 and bait it. And what I'm not going to do, even though I want to do it, is block bait a heavy when she gets to SB2 until I get to SB2 and just ruin her with my SB2. And just continue on that rotation without having to bait out an SP1. But again, that would have required a lot of blocked hits, and therefore High Ground would have played a part in maybe me dying or me taking a lot of damage. So you can see she's at 50%. She did not have suicides, so we're getting kind of a true attempt here. We're just over a minute. She's very-ish close to 50%. But the game plan's working. We don't really need the armor ups. If we could convert them to Furies, then sure. But what we really need is just the SB2 power burn. And as you can see, I'm pretty comfortable dodging the SP1. So this game plan works out. Another SB2. Now she's down to 25%. There's some block damage from the High Ground global. We're coming up on 2 minutes. Again, it would be kind of interesting to see if the damage is a lot better when boosted. But it is nice to see he is technically an option. And down she goes. So a little over 3 minutes, or a little over 2 minutes to knock out. All right, now the mini boss I was bringing Terax for. Peni Parker on Rage. Even though he is shock immune, or even though he's power drain immune against metal tech champions, actually I think it's any metal champ. The downside to Terax being a good counter for Peni is that if she has her shield up, it's going to be hard to refresh the armor breaks. So right now you see that I've got 4. I did trigger Fury once, not a big deal. I'm probably not going to trigger it with basic attacks again. But I am able to refresh them at the moment. Now her shield's back. So depending on how, I want to say, conservative she is in letting me hit her block, there's a chance we might not get those armors refreshed. So there they go, they got expired, or those armor breaks refreshed. So now his damage got hit a good bit. So, and she's running suicides, or at least recoil. So some of that is helping. But my game plan was to build to SB3 so that we could get the rock field back up by throwing it. And that way, if a special attack did trigger Rage, it would only be 1 Fury. And that would at least give us the opportunity to get Rockfield back up and increase our damage. just to make the fight faster. But as you can see, it's pretty similar to using Venom or Venom Pull as far as getting rid of the shield and the advantage of not having to worry about damage from auto block. So here's that SB3. Now that her shield's down, decided to throw it. This is going to give her 1 armor break. This is going to put me in rock field. So now we're getting some armor breaks up, and I believe this recoil is probably going to kill her. Yeah. So, and if you've got no other option, hello Terrax. Okay, moving on to this last fight. I could tell by Airwalker's PI that he had suicides, so I decided to just go ahead and take this with Terrax. Just pretty much said F it. The game plan here is to bait out SB1 and block the last hit. We can block bait heavies so that we can keep him at SB1 without maybe getting him to SB2. But as you're going to see, he actually gets really close to SB2 quite a few times. You already saw me use a heavy in rock field, so that took a chunk off. Now he's got armor, 1 armor break, unfortunately. That's it. I'm going to build to SB2 and I'm going to use it. I'm going to do 1 combo, and then I'm going to parry heavy to end the rock field and to get the guaranteed crit heavy. And then I'm going to try and keep up whatever armor breaks I've got on him, and then throw SB3 if it takes that long. So we're at 5. That was a big crit hit. Took 8% of his health. Refresh, and down he goes. So, fun war. Got to play with champs that I normally don't get to bring. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope it was a little informative.